Hi, I'm Emily.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is In A Barbie World.
The podcast where we look at every Barbie movie from 1987 to the present day.
From fairy tales to literary classics.
From Mariposa to Mermaidia.
It's time to get unboxed.
Readjust your lippy.
Rock the ball gown.
And let's get our Barbie on.
Welcome back. It's time for Barbie, Fairytopia. The first original narrative from Barbie here.
Not that some of the others weren't fairly original, but yeah, we've got a new way of displaying the titles. We've got colon this time, which is always important to teach your children the difference between a colon and a semicolon. So I'm all for this.
Yep. Very much so.
But it's a big change, isn't it? This film does not look or feel like anything we've had before.
No, it really doesn't. Like, we've completely abandoned our Shelley Kelly intro. It's not based on any sort of fairy tale or literary classic. I was hoping for songs, but there weren't any.
Yeah, because obviously last time we did have the musical and it was very successful. And this just seems like a really weird, almost like a reboot. But of course, it all comes from the fact they had some toys to sell. And this one, and we'll get a chance to mix Barbie with another staple of sort of gender-specific toys and fairies.
Yeah, who doesn't bloody love a fairy? Sky dancers, am I right? Fucking sky dancers, one of the best toys ever invented.
What's that? Is that the one like you'd have a bit of string and you'd pull it and then they'd fly off into the air?
Hell yeah, or into the fire. Yeah, they were amazing. I had one with purple hair. She's beautiful. She's absolutely beautiful. Her little stand that she would have the pull string attached to was like this big crown with like jewels and flowers. My sister had one that was like a dolphin. It was really, really lovely. So like peak girly, like hella femme. Like big fan. And this is very that. This is, Barbie is absolutely classically blonde. She's got a beautiful pink, like, tutu-esque dress. I will bring up that her shoes are backless, but they have the ballet strings. So they're like a slipper with no back, but the string that goes up your ankle as if you're tying ballet shoes, point shoes. And I was just a bit uncomfortable every time I had to have a zoom in on them, which was quite often, because I was like, I don't like a backless shoe. It feels a bit like flippy floppy.
If you were a fairy with wings, why bother with shoes, period? You don't see many birds with shoes, do you? But
this is the thing, though.
But of course, our Barbie in this one, she's different. She has no wings. She cannot fly.
I found that so fun. We have a really lovely intro with the credits as we look around Fairytopia, which is just beyond the rainbow of your world, which is lovely. Next to Oz, I assume, where loads of like fucking political shit is going down, and then you've just got Fairytopia where they're like la 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 la, and really beautiful CGI, like really lovely music. It had like 2 female writers that came up as the first credits, and I was like, I'm on board, like I'm 100% here. And we flit around, much like the opening of Maleficent, the live action, and then we zoom in on our Barbie, and I was looking at her and I was like, oh my god, she's got no wings. And like I spotted it, and then these like what I thought was fairies turn up, and they're like,
oh god,
you've got no wings. And Barbie sits up and she's like a giant compared to them.
Like this is there's quite a bit of this in the whole film. There's a whole so this isn't the same CGI style as we've been used to. So I think we've talked about it. It hasn't been fantastic, but it's been okay. This one, the backgrounds, I mean, you called them beautiful, but it's very soft and simple.
Yeah.
It's not as defined as we're used to, and there is a softness to the. I felt there was a softness to the pitch quality all round. There was something about it, a lack of detail. But one of the things that gives us, because there's nothing to judge size against, is that you think either this is really bad or she's a giant.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, they're pixies and they're
Yeah.
tiny. But there's a couple of other characters later on.
The
The sense
sizes
of
just keep
scale, and,
changing.
and you can't judge it against anything because the only thing ever in the frame is some pastel background and the characters.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. I was like, what? Is that just really bad, or are they really tiny? And I have to
Yeah.
admit, I had to go off and read up about it a bit to find out we aren't the only people that wondered that.
Oh, good, because they eventually, like, it's another good like 5 minutes before they fly off, and they're like, "Come on, pixies!" And I'm like, "Oh, you're pixies. That's why you're small." But they're like teasing Barbie, and I'm like, she will just eat you. She could like swallow you whole. Like, she's so big compared to you. So I was like, is she some sort of human child that's been trapped in the fairy realm, and that's why she's wingless?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh no, this means we're going to end up with some ending where she's like given wings because she's a freak without them, rather like it just wouldn't fly these days. Like, these days it'd be like, no, Barbie, you're okay without wings. Like, you've clearly proven yourself without wings, and therefore you don't need wings, because it's very ableist of us to sit here and be like, you get wings now because that's what you were missing all along, you freak. When she's proven that she's absolutely fine. She's lived to the ripe old age of, I don't know, 15 without wings. So
yeah, so it's funny you should say that, and maybe I'll say keep my powder dry to the end. But that's exactly the thoughts I was going through as the film progressed. It was like, I know what's going to happen here, and you've really missed an opportunity. I know this is 2005, which wasn't
and
that
this is
long
the
ago.
thing.
wasn't that long
Yeah.
ago, but I think
But
now.
but in terms of our ideas of things and our the way we talk about things nowadays, I think it is a very long time ago in that sense. So I'm not coming for this Barbie movie for not being better, but it's very poignant to me here in 2021, looking at it and going, oof, Barbie, ouch.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have done that.
You shouldn't have done. No. I will just draw another allusion. So you talked about, what did you call them? Those spinning fairies? Skywalkers.
Sky dancers.
Sky dancers. So one of the other things I felt this film was kind of pulling on, which was something, I guess, probably not from my children's youth, but I seem to remember my sister had books and pictures and things. Do you know about the flower fairies? Cicely Mary Barker's sort of drawings and stories and things about
Is
world.
the Pope Catholic?
Okay, cool. So you see where I'm coming from with all these fairies named after flowers and
Yeah.
good. And I believe he is. I believe he is Catholic, so good. He's right there with that bear shitting in the woods.
Totally, like, absolutely. And like, you can't really blame them. So you've got the sort of fairies that live in that. You really get this sense of like a big king, like a world. So you've got the magical meadow, or whatever it's called, where Barbie lives. Sorry, what's her name?
Alina.
Alina. I keep wanting to call her like Elvira, and I was like, no, not a vibe.
That's a whole different thing.
Alina is wingless. We don't know why. She also doesn't have parents, and I only say that because her best friend Dandelion does have parents. Her house is like an eco-modern house, like a smart house that like responds to her needs, that is named.
Well, it's a peony. It's a peony. Very
and is that
flower.
Is that a flower?
Yeah, it's a peony.
Right.
It's a very eastern flower. So
Ooh.
in once upon a time in the West. What's it called? The Jet Li film. His 13th Art. Her real name is Peony. It's a very pretty name, pretty flower.
Ah.
But yes, so they all kind of live in flowers again, which is giving me that whole flower fairy vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get the sense that it's just in the meadow that this is a
Yeah.
vibe. Like, we have the sort of flower fairies here in the meadow. The whole world is run by an enchantress, which again is very royalist, and like everyone's just sort of like loyal to the cause of the enchantress. We don't know how she got into power, why she deserves to be in power, because the primary villain of this piece, as I would have hoped, because again it took a long time for this to be revealed, is her sister, like
but that's
Swan Princess
weird.
too.
So can I go another bit of weirdness here? I was struggling to get my head around. So it's taken as believed that the enchantress is running it. So I did a bit of Wikipedia did a bit of Barbie fandoming, because that's what happened to my search engine now since we started doing this show. And it turns out that Fairytopia it's got 7 sort of kingdoms in it, 7 areas, and we'll go to a couple of them in this film.
Nice.
But yes, you're right. It's all run by the Magic Meadow, wherever it is one of them. So I guess that's like Suffolk.
Yeah, for sure. It's like Hobbiton.
Let's keep it on brand for you. But yeah, it's the countryside out in the wilds. And maybe they're a bit behind on the news because they believe in the enchantress, but Laverna, is it the
Yeah.
is that her name? Yeah, Laverna. Well, she's not real, is she? She's the sister of your ruler.
Honestly,
this is not like some this is not
boogeyman.
No,
this is not the Jabberwocky. This is the sister of your ruler. It's like Princess Margaret to Queen Elizabeth. Like, no one was like, oh, we've heard legends of the socialite Princess Margaret who takes baths at 9 a.m. drunk. It's like, no, she's real. Like, she's in vogue. Like, she's real.
Although the royal family did lock away some of their family into a home because of their mental illnesses. But yes, it was just odd. It was just odd the way they talked about her. Well, it can't be Laverna. She's not real. Or is she, Dandelion? Yeah, very odd.
And I like to think that this is very much, as you've said, this is Suffolk. So this is, people are like, Laverna? No, she doesn't exist. She's just a myth. But then 4 hours down the road in Fairytown, they're like, no, I know someone that knows her. Like, she's 100% real. Like, what are you talking about? She's real.
I kind of like that. Well, I am just going to have a little dig, all right, about the name of Fairytopia, right? Because Topia, they're using it in the Thomas More sense of utopia and dystopia. You know, about a world or place. I think it means a place. So it's a suffix. That means of a place. So the Thomas More's utopia was this perfect world where everything worked perfectly, but of course it wasn't. And then dystopia as well. Boy, you and I have talked about dystopian parts in Logan's Run, but it's a very common science fiction and fiction trope. So, what would a fairytopia be? Would it be a place of fairies? And unfortunately, topic actually also means out of the body. So it's so it's often used when organs or pregnancies happen outside of the place they're meant to be, like people are born with kidneys and things outside of their body and things like that. So that's topic. That's a topia. That's a topia as well. So is this a place where fairies aren't meant to be as well? I just found the whole thing crazy. I know what they're really
an interesting point because we're here in Fairytopia with pixies and puffballs and other races. Like, it's not just fairy fucking topia.
It's Caucasian
all
town.
Manner of winged creature topia. And how dare the fairies assert some sort of dominance, I assume due to their size and human-looking abilities, like some sort of fucking dictator. Like, why is it not Pixietopia or Puffballtopia? There's plenty enough of them.
As we'll find out later in the film, there's the whole mermaid empire here, which is one of the 7 kingdoms. They're not fairies either. Yes. Oh, yes. I found out the 7 kingdoms. So Mermaidia, whatever it's called, is one of them. This place Suffolk is one of them. There's a whole backstory to this which gets built up. So I guess what we should also mention is this is the first film in a sub-series where Barbie plays this character Alina, and they're not all in a row, they're not all together, but they're all pick-outable, all to sell, of course, these Fairytopia toys.
Of course, have you seen them? They're amazing.
They are pretty cool.
Because, like, also I want the playset. Actually, no, scrap that. I want a real life, what is it called? Peony?
Yeah, to live in.
Yeah. So it's like a one bed. It's like a gorgeous one bed with a chandelier, smart house that responds to your needs. It like plays a lullaby for you as you're going to sleep. It's like a really nice, hey Google. Like it's...
Cool, careful.
Like...
She nearly went off then. Yeah, it's an eco yurt. I
accidentally swore in front of one the other day and it told me off.
I don't believe you ever accidentally swear. I think that's just in your DNA.
But yeah, like it's a cute little one bed smart house that's in the shape of a flower, and I was like, oh my god, I want that. £500 a month, I'll pay that.
It's an eco yurt, isn't it? It's
yeah.
It's nice, and it's nice to think that they all live in these. But like you say, we do know that Dandelion has parents. So do they have one each? Do they share a bigger flower?
And what happened to Elvira's parents?
The Enchantress Elvira's parents, exactly. But there's lots of things we don't really make a lot of sense. However, what's nice is that they're building a world here, and they're building a world which is going to actually exist for more than one film.
Yeah.
So I quite like the idea they're building up like a mythology and a background, and you
Definitely.
read around, and people bloody love this film. I know, obviously the film we talked about last time, The Princess and the Pauper, is probably the one that has got it's got that big wide appeal. But there are people I found on the internet, not in too dark corners, that love the Fairytopia films, that are of that. I guess they're of that age. There's...
I completely get it as well. Like, it's it's like a little Middle Earth, but like pink and full of fairies and mermaids. I love Fairytopia. Like, I'm really struggling in that, and we'll go into it more, but I was like, for an hour and 10-minute movie, it drags in places. I really felt that, especially compared to The Princess and the Pauper, which was a lot longer but felt quicker. And yet, I really loved visiting all these different places, meeting all of these different people, understanding how the world worked with the Guardians and the Enchantress and the whole rainbow stuff. And I wanted to know more. Like, I'm so happy there's sequels with these characters because I'm desperate to know more. Lots of things unfulfilled, like a very obvious thing that has been tick-boxed in every other movie doesn't happen in this movie, which I found fascinating. And they easily could have stuck it on in an extra 10 minutes that would have made it the same length as all the other movies, but they didn't. So I was like, wow, Barbie, progressive. And yeah, it's just really fun. So I get it. I completely get the love for it. I really, really do. And that creature, Bibble, who is a puffball, is iconic because he's in all of the memes, and I finally found out where he is and what he is. I mean, I don't know what he is, but I know where he's come from, so that's nice.
I can't.
Even if he is like a pre-minion.
I love the unicorn, and I love the dragon, and I love the ridiculous stoat and all the bad. This is just a nonsense ball of fur that talks in its own little funny language, and I think it's like BB-8 with fur.
It's funny, isn't it? Like, throughout the whole movie, I was either like, I can't decide if I really like what they're doing with Bibble, or if I can't fucking stand it. Like, I genuinely can't tell you. At points, I was like, I really like that he has this mature side of comedy where he's like, got this attitude about him that doesn't quite fit the sort of joyous tone of the rest of the movie. And he's quite edgy, which fits in with all the other previous animal sidekicks. But then at the same time, he's just a fucking fluffy minion, and I want to squeeze his little head till his eyeballs pop out, you know?
And no one else has one. So it's like I'm just meant to
Yeah.
accept there's this thing, this fluffy little nonsense creature. And like you, there are bits in the film where he is quite funny. You know, there's a little bit there for comic relief, and you think, oh, all right then. And I get it that Barbie needs someone to talk to and elaborate aspects of the plot to, and a nonsense language stops.
But she had Dandelion to do that, who is like Hey, the Moana chicken, who is like pushed pre-movie and then left behind for the adventure. So Dandelion is like, oh, Elvira, fucking shit's going down. We should do this together. But I'm going to go check with my mom. Bye. And then later on she's like, I'll come on the journey with you. Oh no, I can't do that anymore. Bye. It's like Dandelion.
I will also say, did you notice that Bibble was immune to Laverna's spell?
Yeah, but he's got wings.
Yeah, so Laverna she's actually got a plan. Now,
it's a good plan.
Yeah, I mean, as these kind of plans go, it's kind of straightforward and kind of works, and actually has a bit of a sort of real world stuff. So her plan is she's created some magic dust that stops winged creatures being able to fly, and then she will pop in with the antidote. Everyone will say, "Oh, Laverna, you're the greatest after all. Please be our leader." Bibble never is affected by it. Every other winged creature is. But you're right, Dandelion, they set her up to come along. They go into this deep, dark forest that's frankly disappointing in its deep darkness. And then she says, "Oh, I can't fly anymore. I'm going to have to go home," and flies home.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't. You can't come, Dandelion. You don't know how to walk. I've been walking my entire life.
I don't like. Why is Dandelion such a bad friend? Like, why does she hate Elvira? Like, what is her deal? Like, Dandelion, you're either in this or you're not. Like, what are you even doing? Like, if you didn't want to hang out with me, Dandelion, why don't you just say, instead of walking with me for 5 minutes and then being like, oh no, the inevitable's happened and I can't deal with it, so I'm going to go home.
She's only coming out with you as long as her purse has got money in it, and then she's no good to you.
Literally. Yeah, so she's shit. Like, she's like a really bad friend. Because, again, to her credit, Alina is brave and resourceful and thoughtful, and oh my god, there is the best plant and payoff in this movie. At the very beginning, we find a seed. Okay, it's just fallen from a plant, and Dandelion is like, hey, Alina, why don't you try throwing that seed? See how far you can throw it. And Alina's like, okay. And she throws the seed really far and really well. And she's a really good thrower. This is never mentioned again until the very end of the movie, where she needs to throw something to save the day.
And she's not just a really good thrower. What she's actually perfected is the art of throwing like a baseball pitcher would throw, which is a way I hesitate to just. No one else throws a ball in that way at all. That is something that's been utterly designed for the game of baseball. And those of us for whom baseball is not a sport, it's like it always looks like a really awkward way to throw something. But I'm guessing it works. Yeah, I'm assuming the game of baseball's based on this. That's fine. So, but yeah, it's like just let's do this. Let's have a quick game of throw. Right, I'm off now. And you think. Yeah. What was that about?
Yeah,
and obviously you're right. Nothing happens in a movie that isn't actually going to pay off later on, but it's subtle as a tin of Spam, as often these things are.
Wonderful. So happy. So happy. And do you know the best thing? I did not see it coming. I wrote down, like, oh, she's got a good arm. Like, I wonder if that's going to be important because she doesn't have wings. And then Laverna turns up and she's like, I'm going to cast a sickness where no one can fly and everyone's wings will become useless. And I'm like, that's not going to be a problem for our wingless fairy, is it? Oh, it's going to be so good. And I still forgot about it until the very end. And then she like yeeted the thing into the thing. And I was like, yay! Woo-woo! Storytelling at its best.
And
Cinema.
that's right. She yeeted that thing into the thing. And
that is how she saved the day.
That's our first T-shirt quote.
Barbie Fairytopia, eating the thing into the thing since 2005.
Fantastic.
It's so good. Laverna's a really great villain. She falls into that wonderful, like the Little Mermaid 2, the Swan Princess 2, like the sort of sibling of the previous person. Like hot evil. Like I hope there was a doll of her. I don't think there was. The Laverna Fairytopia doll.
And you can tell she's evil because she's got a beauty mark on her cheek.
Oh, for sure. And like purple eyeshadow.
Yeah.
There is, but it comes out very much later. I think it comes out with the magic of the rainbow.
Yeah, because she's an antagonist in a later film as well. But I kind of liked her. Her plan her plan was reasonable compared to some of the plans. We could unpick it, but compared to some of the other plans we've like Gothel. Remember Gothel?
Gothel didn't have a plan. Gothel didn't know what she was doing.
Yeah, there was some thing she was doing in the with some idea in mind, but never really had an actionable plan that A meant B meant C meant D. This was, and the wronged younger sister or younger sibling that feels that always in the shadow of her older sibling. That feels like quite a valid reason for being a little bit
justification for being annoyed, and it's very sort of Ursula if you start to think that Ursula and Triton were siblings, and one of them was like, I get to rule Atlantis, and the other one, and you have to go live in a fucking cave. And it's like, because as usual, like, it's very Maleficent, where it's like, why am I in a cave and you get to hang out with people all the time and be ultra powerful? Like, and there's no indication that when Laverna starts ruling the kingdom, she's going to do a bad job of it.
None at all. I mean, just remember, she's lived her whole life. Everyone doesn't think she exists.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm Team Laverna, but as bad guys go, this is fairly traditional stuff. As is, I think, the whole film. The whole film is a quest from A to B, where our heroine and her growing gang. This is the Wizard of Oz, right?
Yeah.
This is the Hobbit. This is people, a gang get together and through a journey. They travel through, have some adventures, and beat a bad guy at the end who has some that we can have some sympathies with. It's not. Wow, I'm evil. I mean, there's a bit of that, but
there is a bit of that.
But I don't know. I wanted to like Laverna. I compared to some of the other baddies we've had.
Yeah.
I'm all right with her.
Exactly. I'm pumped that she's going to return in later movies. Like, I really am. I really want to flesh her out more. I'd love a redemption arc for her. Like, I'm holding out for that. Where she, like, pulls her hair out of that scary bun. And, like, now she's good. I thought she was really good. And considering it was an original narrative, I thought it was smart of them to, like, pick a structure and full on stick to it. I thought it was... They didn't really try to introduce many like subplots. There was like the villain's plan and the hero's journey, and that was sort of it. But it was fine.
And it was about selling the toys of the world, really, wasn't it? It was like, let's go and have it. Oh, look, here's this character. Here's a whole different race of characters. There's all sorts of things we can do. So I assume they had in their mind this would be more than one movie. There'd at least be a sequel to it. Because I think they've invested quite a lot in these toys, hadn't they?
Yeah, and again, it makes sense too. because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of like potential plushie toys on top of the normal Barbies. Because I wouldn't want a bibble that's plastic. I want a bibble that's fluffy. I don't want a Hugo that's plastic. I want a Hugo that's like plush.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned Hugo. Is it Hugo or Hugh?
Oh, is it Hugh? Sorry.
Well, no, I don't know. No, I'm thinking Hugo sounds like. I was a bit
Oh
perturbed
no,
by
it's
his name.
Hugh.
Is it Hugh? I was a bit perturbed with his name being Hugh. It sounded like a very un-American filmy sort of name. It's a very British sort of.
Yeah, well, it's a Canadian voice actor doing a British accent. There's a meme going round that you may have seen.
Oh, it's Hugh, like the colour hue.
Yeah, like the colour hue.
I thought it was Hugh like Hugh Grant or Hugh Dennis.
Yeah, which I think is what they're playing on. But he's a wonderful introduction to that Barbie meme where it's like no one animals in Barbie movies, and they're like. They've all got ridiculous, like, big eyes with eyeshadow and eyelashes, and they look, like, terrifying. And this is the first... It's more a vibe of, like, Francis the Ladybird from A Bug's Life, where the joke is that he's a ladybird, but he's a man. This butterfly is incredibly, like, big chunky eyeshadow, big long lashes... But he talks like this, what, and he's off to help you on his journey. And the juxtaposition of that is so amusing to me, and I don't know why. It's like the toy is there for you to be like, and this is the pretty butterfly to go and help Barbie on her journey. But in the movie, they're like, we've cast renowned voice actor Mark Owen, or whatever his name was, to do the voice of Hugh the butterfly. And it's like, okay.
Mark Oliver it is.
Mark Oliver.
The butterfly. Yeah, but I get a Bug's Life vibe from him. But I guess we've jumped ahead a bit. We brought Hugh in early, but
yes, sorry.
But no,
so
I don't know. Do we have to do these things in order? But I think he's kind of important because again, he's another toy. Is he a toy that I'd want in plastic, or is he a toy I want to cuddle in bed with?
Yeah. 100%.
I don't know the answer.
I want Hugh in bed. I'm just gonna look him up. Oh, cute. Ah, so there's like a mixture. There's like a Hugh that the Barbie can sit on with plastic wings, but he's got fur on him. He does not look like Hugh from the movie. But it's cute regardless. Really like that. Oh, it's a little tiny Barbie. Oh, he's got like a seat on his back. So that's interesting. So that's really well designed. So I can, that's fine. I can deal with that.
We're going to give Hugh a pass.
Yeah. Oh, this is fun. Oh, I see. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. The dolls are great. I'm just on Amazon, and the dolls are great. Like, big fan of the dolls. Hopefully, some of these dresses are going to turn up in later movies, which I can't wait for. Because her dress was, like, fine. It was a nice design where you've got the sort of big, fluffy sort of sleeves on the not fluffy but like the big froofy sleeves on the front of the dress, and then it was sort of a tutu petal skirt and I've mentioned her shoes already. Her hair was very nice. She had they've all got this sort of like exaggerated, like on Sims 2 you can get it as part of the makeup option where it's like a cat eye that's coming out of your eyeliner on your eyelid that then swirls up to your eyebrow. They've all got that. It's very nice. And of course Elena, get a better name, Barbie. You're meant to be my protagonist. Elena is sorry for any Elenas out there. Elena is meant to she's got a rainbow in her eyes,
right,
which means that she's got a touch of destiny about her.
Let's talk about that, right? Because she does appear to have some weird tattooing by the side of her eye face sort of bit. But a character we haven't met yet sort of mentions this rainbow in the eyes. And I wasn't too sure if I was missing something, if there was something I could see, or I needed to be a guardian fairy to see it. Because the only people that ever mention it are the sort of the guardian fairies in Laverna. Laverna? Have I just added an A to her name? Oh, no, I haven't. No, that's fine. And I just wondered, because obviously people have been picking on poor Alina her entire life. Apart from the fact she's got a wicked throw, she's also got this
So good.
rainbow in her eyes, which wasn't mentioned for half the film. And then
Yeah, not
suddenly,
at all.
it's a key plot point.
It's like a massive plot point.
And,
It's sort of a chosen one narrative.
But I would have thought I would have spent time at the beginning saying, "Oh, you've got some rainbow in your eye, Alina," or something like that. I don't know. That might have almost been better than not having wings, because
Yeah.
it would have marked her out as being different, but not so different.
Yeah, without the problematic bit at the end. And the first person that is it Azula? You want to say Azula? I don't think it's
Azura.
Azura.
Yeah.
Azula's the fire princess. Azura is the first person to point it out, and I didn't see anything when she pointed it out to indicate to me that what she was saying, but I might have looked down. But then later on, when Laverna points it out, you do see a flash of literal rainbow in her eyes.
Do you? Okay.
It's very quick, but it's just like a flash of rainbow across her face.
So it's not like the weird tattoo on the side of her head.
It's not the weird tattoo, because a few of them have that, and I was hoping that it would be her eyes literally look like the pride flag, but it's not that either. No. It's this sort of like, if you get her eyes in a certain light, they've got the I think it's really lovely. I really like it as a concept. It's like you've got the touch of destiny about you. You've got the rainbow eyes. We don't know where the rainbow eyes come from. We don't know if they're a prophecy. We don't know if they're just like a given thing. If a few people have rainbow eyes, if there's lots of rainbow, if everyone has rainbow eyes and it's just for different destinies, like I don't know. But she's got the rainbow eyes, and that means that she's destined for great things.
She's special.
She's special.
But
now we know she's special because she's managed to navigate around Fairytopia without wings all of her life. But that's apparently not good enough for Barbie World.
No, you've also got to have a touch of rainbow in your eyes. So basically, she gets to Fairy Town. Yeah? So
yes.
Dandelion's fucked off. She's got to Fairy Town. And she's looking for the leader of Fairy Town, Azura.
Yeah, because each kingdom or town or place has their own guardian, and the guardians are all called after like gems. There's like Ruby and Topaz, because Topaz runs the meadow and she's gone missing. We find out that Laverna's kidnapped her.
She's having cups of fucking tea with Laverna.
She's having a great time.
Yeah, it's a tea party, wonderful, with another fella. So we also see that fairies are multi-gendered.
Yes,
which is interesting.
Very. Because I was waiting for the male fairy to arrive that would be our Ken, and he doesn't.
No, he doesn't at all, I don't think. So there's one that looks more like he belongs in the Arabian Nights. Is he Ruby? Yes, he is, isn't he? Yes. Not a very masculine name, but that's okay.
Great name.
Greatness, it's my niece's name.
Strong name.
But not the name I would have given to a man that looks like the
I like it. I think it's good because they're all the colours of the rainbow, and like two of them are men and the rest of them are women.
Kinda, sorta, yeah. They're sort of named after minerals like topaz and ruby. Well, ruby's a gemstone, but yeah. Azurite. I've never even heard of azurite, but hey ho, azure blue. We know that, don't we? It's nice that there's this whole rainbow thing going on, because that obviously, the rainbow thing in her eye, and it's going to lead to quite a nice visual later on. But yeah, she's looking for this Azura, and we meet who seems to be the administrative. She goes to like the administrator's office, doesn't she, to try and find him. He wants naught to do with her, and it reminded me of the fella in Swan Lake, the troll.
Yeah, the troll that lives in the library. Yeah, very much so.
And but Alina is so cool, she will not be stopped.
No.
She doesn't care if people say Azura's too busy to deal with her. She just goes to her house.
Literally, like, she's so confident and brave. It's baffling that she's never left the meadow before now. She's just been picked on all day, every day, living in her lovely little one bed. And then one day she's just like, I'm going to go save the world. Bye, everyone. Oh, you don't want me to save the world? Well, tough. I'm gonna go save the world. Get out of my way. I'm gonna save
I've
the
got a
fucking
rucksack
world.
with the
And it's
balls
like,
in,
bloody
and
hell.
I'm going. And she just,
I'm
well,
going.
but I guess she's been inspired. That's the
Yes.
point, isn't it? Is that she has, she probably never needed to before, because basically fairies don't get up to much, and there seems to be a lot of flying around, a lot of bitchiness, a lot of postmodern chit chat. Um, and all she just lays down and takes it. And Dandelion's quite nice to her, even though it turns out she's a shit friend. And she's got
Such a
a
bad
pet
friend.
puffball, whatever the fuck that is. And
Yeah, I hope we find out.
no one else has puffballs as pets. There are
No.
no more puffballs. That's the thing that
And
bothered
there's
me.
no, like, puffball village that we walk through on the edge of
No.
the shitty forest or whatever.
But Azura, I kind of like Azura because she immediately
she's-
spots. She immediately spots the colours in her eyes. She's got short hair as well, hasn't she?
Yeah,
Which
she's
I
got
quite-
a really cool design.
Yeah, and you know, everything some of the other designs I'm a bit meh about, because I do think there's a simplicity. Some of the stuff in this film's a bit overly simplistic, like the
Right.
backgrounds, like the fact that everything's just sort of blocks of colour.
Mhm.
But I kind of like Azura. She's kind of cool. She's the ruler of Fairy Town, which sounds like a kind of cool place, doesn't it? A whole town of them.
Yeah, like the
And
capital.
yeah, and she got quite a nice dress, and she really takes a shine to Alina. She's the first person in the film to really sort of take Alina seriously.
Yeah.
So much so, she's gonna base the whole fucking plan on Alina following through without giving her enough information to work on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do people do this? Why not
It's
say,
very
right,
Dumbledore.
you got this look in your eye. That means you're this. We're gonna do this, and what you got to do is that. The whole thing, we could have had the whole film, but she'd have known exactly what to do. But instead, she's like,
no, I don't think Azura doesn't know how to defeat the person. She knows that Dahlia does, so that's why she's on the way to Dahlia. But she also knows that she's in danger of being kidnapped at any point, which is why she hands the like all-powerful necklace over to Alina to look after, because she's like one step ahead of the villains who happen to be right outside her house.
But only one step ahead, yes.
So I get it. Like, I get why she doesn't explain everything, and perhaps she might have done if she'd had a bit more time with her. But of course, she opens the window, and the fungus, which is the name for all of the sort of fungus the bogeymen / troll type creatures that Laverna have.
I love that, because obviously fungus, mushrooms and stuff, you know that mushrooms aren't individual plants, yeah? They're like underneath the ground. There's this it's something between flora and fauna. And so it's so science fiction. So by calling the trolls like a fungus, and they're like a hive mind, but individual bodies, just like mushrooms are. That's so fucking cool. I thought, and because they kind of appeal to boys a little bit, don't they? Dirty little trolls and things like
they're
that.
like snot coloured.
But I love the way they are. They have like this hive mind, and they're the one creature, but with multiple bodies, and they don't have wings either, so that's good. But I just thought that was a really cool concept, just to dump in the middle of this.
It's fun to have like evil minions. It's fun. It's like LeFou meets Fungus the Bogeyman, pretty much. Like it really is just like a gross,
but
funny...
I'm going to posit that that's too good an idea for this film. I love that idea so much. I'm taking it away, and I'm going to do something with it, because I just think that's... Mycelium and mushrooms and toadstools have always fascinated me, because I don't think a lot of people really understand what they are, and they just think it's something they have on their pizza or care. But actually, for me, it's a fascinating creature that isn't a plant, it isn't an animal. Should vegetarians eat mushrooms? Interesting. If you're not going to eat unfertilized eggs, So it's far more an animal than an unfertilized egg. But anyway, that's the point.
That's really interesting. So yeah, like to transfer that onto what's already a pretty cool concept again, going back to Maleficent and her little like minions in Sleeping Beauty, it's very reminiscent of that. You need ugly minions to send into beautiful places to capture lovely people.
You do. But Azura, one step ahead. She might know she's going to get captured. but she's arranged some support.
It's smart. It's you really get the impression that this character is very intelligent. She's like making decisions on the fly, and she's like thinking things through and giving enough information and putting trust in people and like just being really nice. And I love it. Like she flings open the door, Fungus is there, and he goes, "Mwah ha 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 ha." He literally does that, and I was like, yes. You're coming with us, Azura. Moi. He puts the moi in front of the mwahaha because Laverna's previously gone, ah! Or if you want to go like Wicked Witch, there's always like a ah! Like a scream beforehand. No one ever fully just sits there and goes, moi ha 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 ha. But this thing does, and I'm here for it because it's good. It fits him. It's like he's read it in a script on how to be evil.
It's like if he had a moustache, he'd be twiddling it right now.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed that. So then we meet Hugh, who, again, like, Azura's one step ahead. She's sent Bibble off to get Hugh. We don't know what Hugh is. I thought Hugh was going to be a Ken. And then this horrific eyelashed butterfly turns up. And that's Hugh.
Can I fess up?
Yeah.
It's only now that we're recording this that I've realised Hugh was a butterfly.
Oh my god, what did you think he was?
Badly drawn dragonfly or something. He doesn't look like a butterfly. He looks like a worm with pancakes on his back. Yeah. I mean, it's dreadful. It has got. You know, I agree with you earlier. It's got a Bug's Life feel to his look, but as if they hadn't finished it. You know, there's an initial sketch here that someone's then going to tart up and make look nice and add some bones to this. It's just like a collection of shapes.
It's true, and the way he sort of moves, he's very off-putting. He looks like he looks like he should be the Shelley. Like this was the Shelley originally, and then someone was like, no, we'll make it. And it's like a butterfly, like in a concept art, I see what they were doing. It's like Sedidimus, but a butterfly, like a British sort of medieval pilot knight, but with wings. And it's a Barbie movie, so the wings are going to be pink, and that's fine. But then it's like heavy pink eyeshadow and big long eyelashes that, looking at just a still of them, you expect him to be voiced again by like Cree Summer, and she's gonna be like, well, hey there, Illyra, just get on my back and we'll go to the forest, let's go find Dahlia. So apparently Dahlia, but it's hello, get on my back and let's go. And you're just a bit like, whoa, did you chat? Was there a conversation here before this was
Did David Niven just turn up and insist on being in the film?
What?
We couldn't turn him down. He wants to be the butterfly. But he doesn't look like a butterfly in any way, shape or form. And he's fucking huge.
He's
so again,
big.
We have this scale thing again about, you know, I understand that Alina's a fairy and can live inside a peony. And kind of with these pixies, which are about the size of her eye. Or, about that.
Yeah.
But now there's this butterfly, which is...
the eye is the size of Barbie's head.
Yeah. And my head can't get around the scale of anything. Let's not even wonder how big Bibble is, really.
No, who knows? Changes. It changes.
It does. But... you know, gives us some airborne action.
Yes.
And quite another scary bad guy. Those, were they firebirds or something? Is that what she called them?
They're like spiky, horrible, snot-coloured creatures that you don't really get much information about, but you don't need to because their aesthetic is so frightening that I'm like, run.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, they're not like the winged monkeys from Wizard of Oz who literally gave me nightmares until my teens. But don't stop it. I really fucking hate those things. But they're like but again, they're almost like from another film. They're like spiky pteranodons that can can they breathe fire? I think they can, and they chase you.
Probably.
They chase you, and it gives them an excuse to crash land into another. We've been to. Where's she from again? Meadow Garden.
She's from the Magic Meadow.
Magic Meadow.
Then we've gone to Fairy Town.
And now we're going to crash land in somewhere which is one of the other kingdoms who isn't represented though by the Council of the Rainbow. Interestingly, we have a detour basically in Mermaidia, which is
so interesting, and again leads nowhere and does nothing, which indicates to me that they always were like, this is going to be our Middle-earth trilogy, and this is the Fellowship of the Ring. So we're introducing you to Mermaidia and some characters, but we're not going to do anything with them because they'll come back for the sequel. Like, it must be that.
It must be, because this is another kingdom in Fairytopia. Again, no fairies. They're mer people. They've got magic pills so people can just go underwater and breathe. But they have no representation, political representation in their kingdom. Laverna hasn't even thought about it. Laverna's bad thing she's going to do and take away everyone's powers of flight isn't going to affect them whatsoever. Yet we spend 15 minutes with Prince Nalu and Mermaidia.
Yeah.
Like you say, setting us up for another film.
For a sequel, it must be, because Prince Nalu we're introduced to as we're crash landing, and he's basically like, I'm having a lovely day sunbathing, and there's a couple of other moments, like, so instantly I'm fascinated because I've never seen anything where because we've grown up on a diet of The Little Mermaid, never The Little Merman. And so to instantly be introduced to a merman, I was like, this is awesome. This is awesome. Give me more. Give me more. He's such a cool design. His tail is awesome. His hair is fun. He's got this great skin, complex, like, his skin color is different. And you're like, is it because when you're in water, you always get a much better suntan? So is that why he's a bit darker than, like, the Caucasian Barbie? He's got this cool hair. He's got, like, a seaweed sash because he's a prince. He's funny. They crash land and he, like, starts having a go at them. And then he sees the Barbie character and he's like, oh. Hi. And it's so funny. He's so interesting. So instantly I was like, how are they gonna get a Barbie fairy to marry a Ken merman? Because that is what is happening right now on screen. But, like, how is this going to go? So then I was like, how are they going to... Is the merman going to be able to walk? Is Barbie going to be able to swim? And then he's like, take this seaweed. I was like, okay. That's what we're doing. Gillyweed, let's go. And they consume this very convenient seaweed that everybody knows about and is totally fine with taking. And they're all able to swim underwater, which, again, we've got problems where Hugh suddenly looks like a manta ray. His wings should have, like, disintegrated, but instead they become like a stingray type vibe where he's just, like, chilling underwater, like, whatever.
Do you know why the water looks green?
Why?
Because the seaweed. Thank you. Sorry. Edit that out.
No. The people must know the truth.
Yeah. I'm desperate to say that joke since you mentioned seaweed. That's
why you've been quiet. You've been, like, waiting to interject while I've been, like, gushing about Mermaidia, which I cannot wait to see more of, because just the small moment we get where we basically take a shortcut under the water and we meet all the different mermaids who are totally okay with 3 strangers from another land being underwater with them, I guess because they're with the prince, so they don't question it. They're like, I don't know, princely stuff, I don't know. It's really fun. The water's really beautifully animated. Like, it's no fucking Moana. Like, don't get me wrong, but, like, it's fun. It's really nice and it's different, and I really enjoyed it. And it's funny, and we go through, and then they basically are like, well, I guess this is goodbye. And they give, like, longing looks, and I was like, how are they gonna get this merman into the climax of this movie? Because Barbie has to have a boyfriend at the end. because she's never not had a boyfriend at the end of her movies. And that is her brand. And why would they not do that? But she's got so many things to do already that I'm aware of. Like, she's going to need to get some wings. She's going to need to save the day. She's going to need to get back and make sure the poison stops. So all of these, like, Bilbo things that she needs to tick off. How are we going to fit Merman Ken into it? They don't, is the answer to that. And I fucking love it. He's just like, bye then. And they were like, bye.
Yeah.
Like, bye, Merman
you know,
Ken.
all right. Well, then, he's... Like you say, they've clearly planned this. And that arc will just take a bit longer than an hour and 10 minutes to...
I had to Google it. I was like... the immediate sequel was like, Merman Prince Nalu has been kidnapped, and I was like, yes.
But everything you've said, and I'm not going to gush quite as hard because it's not in my nature to, but there is so much more done here with everything you described about the way he's dressed and the details and the world underwater is far better realised and thought about than the sort of the multicolored Rainbow Council that we have.
Yeah.
I thought designs, Azura aside, are fairly underwhelming. Whereas this one area, I think I want to come back here and spend more time here. And guess what? Lucky me, I might be coming back a couple of times.
Yeah, honestly, I fucking can't wait. I'm just Googling him, and there's lots of like fan art of Prince Nalu that I'm going to take some real time looking over.
Can you think of a less
lovely.
threatening male than a man whose bottom half is a fish?
Are you kidding? He's going to be such a strong swimmer. He's going to be able to whack you with like his seaweed thing, his little like arm thing. He's cool. He's so cool. He's the coolest. I'm going to put it out there. He's the coolest Ken we've had so far. And he doesn't look like Ken. That's also what's so fun. And that's another thing about this movie overall. There's a lot of characters that look really cool. Like their faces are not just the Barbie face copied and pasted with different eye colours. They've really gone that little bit, not massively, but a little bit further to give them slightly different face shapes and
no, I think they
hairs
have.
And
I absolutely
really
agree with you. In terms of the character models, in terms of subtleties, this is by far the best. It's the rest of the world, the rest of the realisation, and Hugh, and it's the bigger stuff that I think it looks like a step back. It looks like it's been done by different people, which indeed it has been. But I have to agree with you. There's a lot of characters that could look all identical, could all look like versions of Barbie, and they don't. They've all got, even if it's Laverna's beauty spot, I mean, that's an easy thing to do, but they've got different hairstyles, they've got different eye shapes and face shapes and head shapes. And yes, it's also easy for 5-year-olds because they've all got different coloured dresses on. But there's more to it than that. There is a certain art that's going on here, which is
100%.
Which is the best we've seen so far, I think.
Definitely, and it's really realised in this Prince Nalu character, which, I am thrilled, don't get me wrong, that Barbie ends this movie without a boyfriend, but having seen the potential boyfriend, I now very much ship them, and I'm like, how are we going to get over this mixed race problem here? Like, is she just going to have to live off a diet of breathing underwater seaweed? Can she, like, grow a tail? Can she get a tail? Is he going to turn into a fairy? Or is this relationship doomed from the start, and therefore why have you got my hopes up? Like, I'm really excited to see where it goes. I really want Fairytopia Barbie to get with Prince Nalu from Mermaidia, and I really worry that they're not going to be able to. And just like looking at Google Images, I'm a bit like, oh no, what is this?
I don't think you should also Google how fish reproduce.
No.
That's really
going to do that.
That's really going to take the edge off the whole thing if you're thinking this too far through.
A relationship isn't all about...
No, but if it's princes and princesses, it is. I'm afraid we all know it's all about the heirs, and Barbie the spawning is.
No.
No, it's okay. I find the mermaids in general creep me out because I don't know
Ah.
anybody who likes actually touching fish. Like especially
Oh,
kids.
I see.
Fish skin is pretty creepy stuff, and the fact that the only film that's ever done it any credit to me. Well, I guess, but have you seen the Polish film the Lure, where
No.
two mermaids? It's basically a retelling of the Little Mermaid, but through a
Mhm.
Polish 80s set in a nightclub, and they sing sort of 80s style pop songs, but it's horrible and gritty, and their tails are super long, and
Oh.
it's a you wouldn't like it because you don't like the horror movie, but it's a fantastic movie. That's the only time I felt they've ever got mermaids right. If you just think about the bottom half of your body being a fish, that's not.
And you'd have to have gills as well, probably,
Or
which is
we've got magic seaweed,
a little
so
bit
that's okay.
scary.
But
True.
you notice in the Superman mythos, there's Laurie Lamaris, who's also a mermaid. I mean, mermaids are
Nice.
a sort of a classic creature, aren't they, of myth that I just really,
Yeah.
really fucking struggle with, and
Well, it's
mermen as
interesting,
well.
isn't it? Because they've always started as like the siren from the
Mm.
Odyssey, and like like Peter Pan. They try to drown Wendy. Like they're horrible until Hans Christian Andersen was like, "I'm going to use a mermaid to complain about the fact that I can't marry the love of my life, so I'm just going to do that now." And then suddenly the mermaid become like a romantic, idealistic, beautiful part of mythology, and you're like, God damn it, Hans.
No, fish are yuck. Fish are for eating. Although Hans Christian Andersen obviously made it incredibly tragic, where
Yeah.
she ends up as foam on the beach.
Yeah, unless all you good little Christian boys and girls pray really hard, she's gonna fucking stay that way.
Well, she did,
But if you
clearly.
pray, she'll get into the kingdom of heaven. So,
Maybe, if you believe in that nonsense. But yes, I don't know. I enjoy your shipping of the.
and I
We'll
just
we'll talk
they've
more on this in
really,
Mermaidia, won't we?
yeah, and they've just really set it up that he's really into her. And
Mm.
if they're then gonna turn around and be like, that was a fucking lie, I'm gonna be like, how dare you? Need I point you to fucking Hans from Frozen and his fake ass, no one's around except the audience, and he's giving Anna that look to dupe you into thinking he's a good character, so therefore you don't earn the twist because you've lied to your audience. Is that what you're doing here with Prince Nalu? Is it? Is it? Because I don't stand for it. So we'll see.
I'm scared now. It's not going to turn out the way you want.
I'm scared it's not going to turn out the way I want.
Anyway, we have a little side visit, which enables us to meet
Dahlia.
Dahlia, who's another fascinating character that.
She's really fun. She's got a great design, great face.
Yeah, I mean, she is another sort of winged creature, a dryad, which is kind of like a forest fairy, isn't it? I mean, it's not a huge. I think dryads are normally related to forests, aren't they? But she used to work for Laverna, and then she realised Laverna was a bad egg,
Was a huge bitch.
and but has decided to deal with this just by hiding away.
Which is
Not
fair.
yeah.
Because it sounds like all the Guardians were like, we don't believe you've changed, except Zura, who tried to listen to her, which was why she was going. But she claims that like 10 years ago she left her service and was trying to tell them about this plan that's now being put into place, which again is very realistic. Hey, we need to do something about climate change. Shut up. Oh, God, we need to do something about climate change. Yeah, no shit. But yeah, so she's really fun. Barbie's not very nice to her. Barbie's like, well, if you don't want to help me, that's fine. I just came all this way and we needed your help and we thought
No.
you would be able to, but
it's not that
sorry
Barbie's
to
not.
bother you.
Not that Barbie's not nice to her. Barbie pulls the full passive-aggressive playbook out,
Guilt trip Barbie.
and basically says, "Well, okay, we'll be off then." And Dahlia, well, no. Obviously, I'll help you. And you just think, yeah, all she wanted was a little bit of attention, just to make her feel a little bit special, a little bit of exactly. But no, Barbie doesn't. This new Alina,
God damn it, Barbie.
she takes shit from nobody, and it's like, it's my way or the highway. I'm fucking off. Oh, you're coming now, are you? Right, all right.
Oh, I see. Thanks. Now you and your friends can play with Guilt Trip Barbie. Always punish the ex-villain.
Oh dear.
It's awful. But yeah. Then we go back to we're getting to the end. As I say, this is an hour and 10 minutes long, but we've completely skipped something because I didn't write anything about it because I think.
What do you think we've skipped?
The little like troll creatures, the little like creatures. Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Like, the little like gnomes.
I do. Yes, I do vaguely. I mean,
so unnecessary.
Yeah, because we're on this sort of like walking quest, which is kind of traditional, but we are so distracted by Mermaidia, I think.
Yeah, I was like, go back there. Fuck everyone else.
I can't even remember those characters.
No, they were like two little characters.
Oh my god, the Irish stereotype leprechaun creatures.
Yeah.
That was fucking horrible, and I cut that out of my memory.
Yeah, same. I've got no notes.
Because they're a racist trope.
Yeah, they were awful, and they were completely unnecessary. Like, I would have rather spent that time learning more about the mythos, the kingdom, Laverna, her backstory, the Enchantress, who the fuck is she and why should we fucking care? Like, any of that. Let's get to know Dahlia more.
Are they the ones
Let's have a flashback.
That point them where Dahlia actually is?
I think so, yeah.
Is that their
I don't know why, because I also don't want them as a toy.
They're ugly. They're horrible. They're a racist trope. I know lots of Irish advertising like feeds on that trope, so maybe it's not that racist. I don't know, but it's
well, there's a difference from like, I don't know, the home country doing it rather than an American company being like the Irish.
But maybe they want to do Patrick's Day Barbie or something. I don't know. It's just weird. They're out of context as everything else we've seen. I mean, leprechauns are a fairly specific fairy creature, and also, if you dig down to that mythology, not one that you'd want to be hanging around with. They're more akin. Don't they eat people?
Yeah, I think so.
And they're more akin with Rumpelstiltskin, I always felt, than anything else. And maybe that's just the old fairy tales book I used to have with a horrible painted picture of him. Obviously not a photograph of Rumpelstiltskin. But
circa 1821.
Yeah. But yeah, weird. That was weird,
horrible.
and I'd forgotten about it, and now you've reminded me. I'm getting quite angry about it. So let's move on because they pick up Dahlia and
head straight to Laverna, who is looking fucking awesome. Like, you need to cosplay as someone from Fairytopia. All right, I'm gonna go as Laverna. Obviously, like, her climax outfit is beautiful.
Yeah, no, she's
got a whole look.
She
looks.
has, and of course, the reason I went for Dahlia, of course, is because she understands the plan, and she understands the plan's weakness.
Yes.
And all they needed was a girl with rainbows in her eyes and a good right arm.
And a good arm. Because
they now invent a new thing called the Union Point, which they keep talking about over and over as well. Which doesn't work for me it's not as catchy as it could have been.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But yeah, there's basically a crystal in her throne that if it gets damaged, the whole plan's over. Don't really know why, but hey ho. But yes, she's looking cool. Laverna's looking. She's got the witchy, sexy thing going on, hasn't she? For a fairy.
She really does.
I know I have nothing to do with somebody who's half fish, half insect. I'm all right with.
Funny that.
Yeah.
Only one major difference there. But yeah, it's a killer plan, and there's a bunch of bullshit where they like make their way to the castle and three of them get captured and Lyra manages to blah 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 blah. Kind of boring, no offense. But then we get into the cave and it's such a fun setup. It's like it's really cool how she's got this like arc of chairs that are now filled with all the guardians that she's just managed to get. I'll buy it. She's powerful. She knows what she's doing. She's got a plan. She's been installing it for 10 years. She's know what's up. She's got her throne opposite it. And she's got the crystal in her throne, and she's like aware. She's also been made aware of this wingless fairy, and again, love it. And it's because it's a short movie, we can't waste time, and that is my favourite, because she's instantly like, that sounds like someone who could fuck my plan up. Go and get her. And then she does the other villain trope of when she finally turns up to try and rescue everyone. Laverna's like, hey, I'll give you everything you ever wanted. I'll give you wings. And she's like...
She stopped
okay.
short of, I am your father, Luke.
Yeah.
It was a bit like that. Trying to turn her to the darkish... Well, to the mildly grey side.
Yeah. To the fairly justified side. Because she's talking to her, and I'm like... You know what? If this movie 180s me and Barbie becomes like Laverna's little sidekick and she starts ruling the world and that's how it ends, with that sort of like doom sort of like tune in for the sequel kind of thing, I'd have fucking bought it. Like I'd have been like, yeah.
Laverna sort of tempts her both with hypnotism and with, look, you have been treated shittily by all these people. Why on earth would you help them? And that's what Laverna's feeling as well. You know, she has been written out of history. I've got a whole backstory for Laverna, but you know, it feels like she's been written out of history. She's been made to feel unwanted and unloved, and this is her turn to be. Because all she wants to be is loved. I mean, it's a bit extreme. And she's saying to Alina, she's saying, look. These people took the piss out of you for having no wings. They gave you no respect. I mean, admittedly, not the people in the room.
Yeah.
Admittedly, only people we've seen has been mean to her as little pixies, which possibly doesn't actually seem to bother her very much.
No, it doesn't.
She gives her a set of wings and says, look, this is you. And
really nice evil wings as well.
Green, lovely green. Evil
like
green.
Greeny purple. Evil green.
Evil green. Yes, purple and green together like the Joker. But they're very nice wings, and then she sort of takes over her. I love the way that she sort of repeats it like a zombie back, everything that Laverna said. I was really quite invested in this.
It's such a good final scene. It's so... Same. I was really on board with it. I really couldn't wait to see what was happening. She's getting... So basically, she gets handed the necklace. She's got the necklace of Azura, and all that needs to happen is she needs to put Azura's necklace back on Azura's neck, so then she can suck all of the power from the fairies, and she just needs that last one to complete the set. So very slowly, of course, Barbie's walking towards Azura, and she's like, everything you ever wanted. The whole small town of your... Like, it's really, really good. And she's like, yes, just a little closer, Elvina. Like, it's really good. And Azura's like, no, Barbie, wake up, come on. And she doesn't. And she gets so close. I literally wrote in my notes, you done fucked up, Barbie. Because I genuinely thought, like, oh my God. Like, she's not going to snap out of it. How she snaps out of it is not great. Like, she repeats one line to her that she'd like said a couple times before. It wasn't as good as the plant and payoff from earlier, as we're about to get even. But it's fine. She's like, think of the friends you haven't met yet, or whatever.
Oh God, yeah, that's a bit weird.
And it's because Azura had places set at the table for the friends she hadn't met yet. And then Barbie uses it to try and get Dahlia on side. Think of the friends you haven't met yet.
When Azura first said that, by the way, did you get a bit of Mrs. Caversham about her? Like, she was a bit fruity. And nut,
oh my God, I was like, run.
Maybe this isn't somebody I want to have tea with.
Yeah, I was like Norman Bates vibes.
That's right, she's going to bring out the skeleton.
Those are for the friends I haven't met yet. It's like, ah!
Yeah, there was a very big moment like that. But yes, for that to be the thing which turns Barbie back to the path of the righteous is a bit weird, yeah, because it's a creepy old line. But again, kind of
So
cool though, because there's a lesson you want
yeah.
to tell a young child.
Oh, for sure.
These because people move about, change, grow up. A lot of change happens, like when you start school, or when you move schools and things like that. And that's a really lovely line to tell a young child that you've got the friends that you haven't had made yet. And I thought,
Yeah.
it's just a bit creepy as well, the way
I just wanted it more. It
Mm.
comes like 40 minutes into the movie. Like I wanted it to be something that she had like tattooed on her wrist as a baby or something, and she didn't understand it. Like something a bit more deep-seated within Alina and her whole vibe, as opposed to a random line that's mentioned 40 minutes into the movie.
She lacks backstory, doesn't she, Alina?
Yeah.
That's the problem with this. Her only defining characteristic up until the beginning of the film is that she doesn't have wings, and frankly, doesn't seem to bother her that much.
No, exactly. It's not a problem. She can't not do anything. She's not really downtrodden, as we've mentioned, as much as I think the people in the movie like to think she is.
A small clique of pixies are a bit mean to her, but even
who seem like twats anyway, so I don't think it's out of character.
They'd be twats with or without wings, wouldn't it? So
yeah.
But it would have been nice if there. But again, clearly she's an orphan. Clearly there's other things we could have dealt with, and it might have been fine if she just had wings all along.
Yeah, exactly. And she's got the rainbow in her eyes, and maybe she's got something else, or she just needed like an Anastasia locket. She needed something from childhood that could be constantly referenced and then pays off at the end. But she sort of doesn't. She has wings, and here's where the real problems that tie into the problems come, because Laverne has been like, join me and I will give you wings, because that's not what the true meaning of friendship is. You don't need wings. I'm just giving you something that I aesthetically can see that you're lacking, and therefore think you want, as much as I want to rule the world. They're not really what we need, they're what we want. You don't need wings, you want wings. And therefore I'm going to give it to you as a villain thing. You know how villains are always like, it's very Princess and the Frog, where it's like, I'll give you your restaurant, Tiana, and she's like, think of your daddy, and she's like, my daddy never had what he wanted, but he had what he needed. Go fuck yourself, Shadow Man. Spoilers for the Princess and the Frog. But it's very that at the moment. It's like, I'll give you wings, because you don't need wings.
And
you want them, and that's not important.
That frankly, she's never said she wants them. At
exactly.
No point.
Exactly, though, and that's why it's a good villain thing. That's why it's a good villain offer. So then she yeets the thing into the thing, and it's wonderful. I literally screamed with joy, and my notes are caps lock, plant and payoff. She can throw good. It's beautiful. I love it so much, and I love just the simplicity of the fact that, like, it's like, it was like that Nike advert where it's like, she can throw like a girl. Like, I was just thrilled. Like, as something coming out from 2005, it was very heavy-handed and unsubtle, and I was fucking here for it. I was like, yeah, throw, because girls can't throw. And look, Barbie's throwing good. We can throw good if Barbie can throw good. Barbie is our icon. Girls can do anything. Yeah! It just made me really happy. I'd be interested to know if it affected anyone back in 2005 in that way. It just seemed a very obvious thing to me to be like, yay, women can do anything. But yeah, so then we go back, like everything's fine. Like very quickly.
The day is saved like
everything's
that.
Fine.
Everyone's back to the Magic Meadow.
Back where they belong. She's puffed into like some rainbow droplets. Like off-screen death doesn't count, which is why we can bring her back for some sequels. Her staff's gone. She's gone. All the shackles have gone. Barbie's wings have gone. Because remember, they were a thoughtless offer from a villainous creature. So we come back to the meadow, and everyone's just sort of there. Dandelion doesn't even say anything. She just waves, and you're like, fuck you, Dandelion. Good God. So we we finally get to meet the Enchantress. The Enchantress comes down and she's really
stiff.
Not great. Like, I wanted some like, she's got a lovely like rainbow headband thing where she's got like a pendant with a rainbow in it, which was great, but I wanted that to be reflected more in her dress. Her dress is very bland considering who she is and what she stands for,
and she's really really stiff.
Yeah,
she's not she's like a mannequin.
Yeah, I was like, this is your glorious leader? Like, this is who you sacrificed everything for?
When you see how Laverna was all pliant and moving, and she was very lithe, wasn't she? And she was very emotive with not just her voice, but with her actions. This mannequin comes in and basically says, "You did very well."
Yeah. You did very well. And then, it's very like Glinda versus the Wicked Witch of the West. And even though you're like, what's good about the Wicked Witch of the West is that you are frightened of her, and she is a scary villain that you want to see melted. But she's also really fun and enjoyable because she's the loosey-goosey one compared to Glinda, who's very stiff. But here it doesn't quite work because we're not scared enough of Laverna. We're kind of okay with her plan. Like, if she were to succeed, I would be like, all right, let's see how you run Fairytopia. I'm interested to hear your policies.
I felt the other Guardians could have reached out to her. They could have discussed it, come to some kind of, I don't know, compromise agreement. They could have tried something.
She's like, the reason Topaz is stuffing her face is because she's constantly like, try my cookies. Like, if I'm going to rule you, we're going to need to get along. So, like, here, I bring peace offerings in the form of baked goods. And you're like, you know what? You're really not that bad. When was the last time you got a muffin off the Enchantress? When was the last time you even saw her? Like, she seems really aloof. Like, people don't think Laverna exists. Probably because the Enchantress doesn't mention it because she's a massive bitch. Like, I really couldn't get behind the Enchantress. And it tops it all with the final thing that she does, which completely undermines everything. Now, we knew at the beginning of the movie that chances are Barbie would have to get wings at the end. But by proving that not only was she able to save the day because she didn't have wings, that she did it flawlessly, and that the offer that the villain gave her was wings, for then the Enchantress to turn around and go, and they tried, bless them, but it just wasn't enough, and go, you may not need a gift, but you deserve one. And she gives her wings. And I'm like, I don't buy it. I don't like it. I don't want it.
I just don't like it. I thought there was, I know we talked about this isn't a different time. It's only 2005. This is not the 70s, right?
Yeah.
But this, there are plenty of people who are bullied because they are different. Whether they're different because they're in a wheelchair, or because of their religion, or because of the colour of their skin, or because they're not as pretty as everybody else. Or there's all these things, there's all these people that Alina's lack of wings could have represented.
Yeah.
And the moral of the story is you didn't need wings to succeed. Yeah. The end. Instead, it says, if you work really hard, I'll give you your leg back. I'll make your skin white again.
Yeah.
I'll change your gender. I'll get you out of that wheelchair, which is not a lesson that any parent tells their child, because
exactly
it's the opposite of how the world works. And it was, I get it. I get that maybe we're reading too much into it. But if Mattel wants Barbie to be a character whom is inspirational representative for women, that's why she goes to the moon. That's why she's got all 150 different careers. The one thing she can't do is fix
something that's not a problem.
Something that's not a problem, exactly. And it's opportunity lost, I thought.
Absolutely. And the thing is, they were so close. Because the first thing the Enchantress does is gives her a butterfly necklace, which I took to be like Mulan vibes, where she's like, come and be a guardian. Like, I want you on my council. I want your advice. I think you're an asset to the team. I think you'd work really well with the rest of the Guardians. We may have to change your name to like a mineral or a gem, but like we'll do that in the paperwork when we sort out your contract. Come and be one of my political advisors and just don't get fucking kidnapped. But there wasn't that. It was like, here's a butterfly necklace that all the Guardians wear, but this isn't a Guardian necklace. Like, don't be silly, you're not going to be one of the Guardians. It's just a magic necklace that now gives you wings. And it's like, that's what your sister did, and you hate your sister. Like, you're just doing exactly the same thing that your sister did. So, like, why have you done that?
Also, just thinking this through, do you remember when she was walking with Dandelion through that shitty wood? And Dandelion couldn't fly anymore. And Alina said, oh, that's because you're not used to walking. But she's a fucking expert at flying.
Yeah.
I know that kind of undermines the sort of the statement you made, but basically some things have to be earned. And this is the thing, there wasn't enough time for us to watch her come to terms with her new wings. It's like literally walking around with one leg all of your life and then being given another leg. You're not just going to suddenly be able to walk perfectly. It's going to take some time and some training and some effort, and it's going to take a lot of time. And yet she's like, well, go on then. Try them out. And like, everyone is totally okay with it. She shoots off into the sky and she's like, I'm flying. And again, all I thought was like, oh, well, there goes your fucking leg day. I guess you're never going to use them again. Like, they're going to go like frumpy very quickly, aren't they, Barbie? Like, guess you don't need. It's like when you learn to drive, you just stop walking everywhere. No, it was.
Because then for her to come back in sequels, I want her to come back wingless, because that's who she is. That's the character that we've fallen in love with. It's like when Tangled gets parents at the end, and you're like, I don't care, because I don't know this relationship and you don't know each other, and like it's meaningless to me.
We've had, is this the fifth film? This is the fifth film, sixth sort of episode that we've done, and there's been faults and flaws all the way along, but this is the first real misstep. I think that we've had. I think, and it's interesting that we don't really discuss this. We watch these films fairly cold, don't we? We don't talk about them with each other, and that was our first initial takeaway that I think we've been both desperate to talk about since we started the episode. Because it is so wrong.
It just would not happen today.
It could have been written differently, that it's the only thing on her mind, and maybe that's and the whole bullying thing going to come out. But it's not just that it doesn't serve. Sorry, it's not just that it's the wrong thing, a wrong lesson to teach, but it's just not even a reward that was in anybody's head. This is not important.
Exactly.
This has not been important to her ever.
Never held her back. She was never bummed out about it.
Or she's been lying the entire film, and she's an unreliable narrator. And actually, Bibble has been saying, but what about your wings? You really worry about your wings all the time. And maybe one day we'll get a proper translation of what Bibble was saying, and we'll find out that actually Alina's been quite a dark place because of these wings, and this would have made more sense. But disappointing.
Even then, this whole story proves that she doesn't need wings and was actually at a good place for not having wings. And like,
no one needed wings. No one needed wings other than Hugh, because his holding distances as a giant creepy aeroplane thing, and Bibble because someone would have stamped on him.
It's a real shame. I get it, and like, I know you say that 2005 wasn't that far away, but you really have to get yourself into the mentality of the time. People were not talking about things in the way that they are now. Even 10 years ago, they were completely different times, and I think they would probably patting themselves on the back due to the fact that she doesn't end up in a relationship by the end of the movie, and the main point about her that was useful was that she could throw well, and like, that was They were like,
Yeah,
fucking go
and
us.
they're good things. They are good
Yeah.
things. And maybe our modern day wokeness has made us
No,
more
it's
sensitive to that,
and
but it's just
woke
wrong.
always just means an awareness of inequality and a
Yeah,
want to change that. Like to be woke is a very good thing, and I'm proud to be woke.
yeah,
And
and which is what I'm.
even though the word itself is a
Well,
not our word that we have stolen, like everything that we do. And yes, I think I'm very happy that both of us watched this movie and were like, that's a terrible lesson. And I imagine if they did it again today, they might be like, no, we're not going to do that. That's a terrible lesson. It was just back then. It was
you could have
like,
had
oh, of course,
prosthetic
give her wings.
right? You
It's just thoughtless.
could have prosthetic wings that weren't a reward at the end, but she might have
Well,
used along the way or something like that.
I imagine they are. I get the impression now, and maybe I'll be proved right in the sequels, that if she were to remove her necklace, she would no longer have wings. So they are prosthetic in that sense.
Maybe.
Which is fun, but it still undermines the whole lesson of, gosh, she doesn't need wings, don't give her wings. Like, stop.
But she can have wings to have a play, but she just shouldn't need them to live her life.
Yeah, like you would get a car. Like the next time she needs to go to Fairy Town, she'll cut the journey down by 2 hours with wings. But she doesn't need them to be a better person in herself. And they really they tried with that line where she's like, we know you don't need these, but you deserve them. And it's like, not good enough. I'm a child. Like, I'm a child and I'm not acknowledging what you're saying. I'm just seeing that Barbie has a reward of wings now.
Just like my dolly does.
Yeah, exactly. And the Barbie doll does have wings. Which, again, it has to, because this is the fairy Barbie, so you want your Barbie to have the fairy wings. But the character doesn't have wings, so it's like how you can't buy Clara not as the Sugar Plum Fairy, I guess, even though in the movie she's only that for like 5 minutes.
And not at all, and as the biggest plot twist ever for you, if I remember rightly.
It was the biggest plot twist that I never saw. I figured out Fight Club, I saw The Sixth Sense coming, but I could not work out Barbie and the Nutcracker. I'm so stupid. I'm never going to live that down.
No. The highlight of the show for me.
So, if you have the DVD, the menu is full on. There's lots of options here. You can go to your favourite scenes. There's a help section, which I was concerned about, but it just shows how to work a DVD remote control. And there's the option to boogie with Bibble, which I did, and I made him dance to hip hop, and it was thoroughly enjoyable. I don't know if they went back and put these extra things on when the DVDs started coming out, because the next movie was the very last, or I think the sequel to this, which is after the next movie, was the very last one to come out on VHS. And then I think they all switched over to DVD.
They did. And a lot of them have been remastered, haven't they?
Yeah.
As well. So I don't know when that happened. But yes, it was interesting to find out that there was still VHS at this time.
Yeah, because I always took 2001 to be the switchover, because some people had The Philosopher's Stone on VHS, some people had it on DVD. Same with the Calendar Girls. That was the sort of shift, the turn of the century is when I thought. But then I guess it had to gradually fade out, because not everyone was going to go out and buy a DVD player straight away. So I get it that it's still happening here. Baffling to think, as you say, like, you assume the VHS was something that literally stayed in the 90s and never went over into the 2000s, but that's completely inaccurate.
So I could give you a whole thing how DVDs were rammed onto us by a special offer at Woolworth, and Sony's PlayStation 2 ensured that we all had DVDs in or around this time. So they were very, very, very expensive.
Yes.
They were over £500, and then
Jesus.
Woolworths did this deal for one for just under 200.
Right.
And between that and the absolute preponderance of the PlayStation 2, which is the best-selling games console of all time, which
Nice.
came with a Blu-ray player, with a DVD player.
Oh, wow.
That got it all into our houses, either by
That's
stealth or by
so
avarice, and it was all
interesting.
around this time. And the Woolworths deal, my partner at the time, she went and bought me it because she was so excited it was so cheap and came with like 10 free DVDs. It's the other reason why The Shawshank Redemption is one of the best-selling DVDs of all time, because it came with those DVD players.
Oh, wow.
And because no one obviously bought it, it was a huge flop originally, but there was loads of stock of it, so they gave it away with. And any deal that you had to buy a DVD player in that time period would always come with a copy of The Shawshank Redemption. And
Oh my God,
that's that.
that's so interesting.
I know, right? That's what they call me, the professor. But yeah, that's a telling of it, and that I would also tell you the story of how the porn industry legitimised it and stuff like that. But yes, in and around that time, and I just thought it was fascinating because obviously there are these extras. I noticed a couple of extras on some earlier ones, and I thought, oh, wonder. I hadn't even played into my head that people would still buy VHSs in
Hmm.
in in a in a post Barbie world.
Yeah.
In a post
Yeah,
Barbie world,
exactly.
in a post
And,
in a post Barbie in the Nutcracker world.
yeah, yeah.
I hadn't even thought about it, which is now going to be something I'm going to go and look for.
No, definitely, same. I'd really love to see the front covers because DVDs are always different to the VHS covers,
Mm.
and I love them. But yeah, and just a shout out to Kelly Sheridan, who's playing Barbie here, playing Alina, and just the fucking work that she puts in, because the whole DVD menu has its classic, "Hi there, I'm Barbie. Welcome to Fairytopia. Would you like to play the movie now? You better settle in because the movie's about to start. Would you like to play
I mean,
Dancing
she
Boogie with Bibble?"
she's got a good gig at this time, hasn't she?
She really, really does, and she crushes it. She's so good. Like,
Mm.
there was a bit when she was on the back of Hugh, and there was a line delivery there that I was like, "You're just fucking nailing it, Kelly. Like, you really are. Like, I'm so happy for you. You deserve everything you got, and I really hope you were paid in royalties at this time
Um,
because
we're going
you're
to
crushing it."
we're going to obviously we're going to lose her at some point, although
Which I'm really gutted
if she does
about.
come back. But she is the consistency. We have been through from Nutcracker to now. She's the only consistent thing.
Yeah,
The direction has changed, the style has changed, the animation has changed, the quality of
the
the animation has
Ken's,
changed. Ken's in it or not in
the
it.
directors,
Yeah.
and this is the first. Oh, this is the first Barbie movie that, and prove me wrong if I'm wrong, that hasn't had a major like celebrity voicing a villain. Like, I don't
So
know
of the films that
who.
we've watched so far, excluding the Rockers and the Sensations or whatever it
Mm,
was, of these CGI post 2001 films, yeah, I had a quick look. I thought, have I heard of anybody? No. This feels like the first straight to. I know they're all straight to DVD, but I mean, this
yeah,
really
but this
feels
really feels, yeah.
like this
Like, the
is.
budget was a bit, they were like, they not given them as big a budget, so they did the best that they could with what they were given, and they still did a good job, but there's no big name here, and actually all of the cast, I think, are going to continue to be consistent in later movies. They're going to constantly bring them back to
Mm.
play different characters
But
in Barbie
but
movies,
you are going to
and they're
find
very,
really
yeah,
weirdly in the next episode we're going to go back to how it used to be. So there's this,
yeah,
there's this weird time frame now where these are a subgenre. The Fairytopia movies are all going to look and feel, and they've got the same people in, and they're going to go down this path, and then they're going to be interspersed with, firstly, a throwback movie, one that for the 3D bloody thing at the time, which happened, but also a whole different stream is going to happen outside of these Fairytopia movies, which are far more modern day. And
mm,
it's like the creatives at Mattel are throwing a couple of different, couple of ideas at the wall every year. So, well, we need to keep selling Fairytopia. They sell gangbusters, but we need to try this. We need to try that. There's a consistency which is going to change between film and film for a little while now. And
yeah.
I think we're entering like a phase two, I would say,
I thought that,
of a
yeah, we're
Barbie
like
verse.
post Avengers 2012, and we're
Mm,
entering into the phase 2 of Barbie, where the consistency is going to be in this voice cast of highly successful children's animation voice actors. I was trying to look her up, and I know her voice because I've heard it all of my life, just obviously not in a consistent accent or character. But they're like deep within my soul because they were all in things that I was growing up with. You know, I mean, the Laverna was in Ubos, which is the greatest children's television show ever made, and so they're all My Little Ponies. They're all in Recess. They're all in Rugrats. They're all these voice actors that you know and love from children's animation, like through the years for like the last 20 years. So they're all going to be really good as well. But we're not having our little cameo of like, we've managed to bag Jennifer Lawrence as Coochie or whatever.
Yeah, interesting. So where would you put this fella on the list?
It's so hard. It's so difficult because up until now it had been very easy because we'd just been getting consistently better and better. Here's where we really have to think about it. I really enjoyed Fairytopia. There was a lot of it I liked, but I cannot deny that the pacing was quite poor in places, and there were moments of dullness for me, and the little minion creature could be quite annoying in places. I think that I want to place it above Nutcracker, possibly above Rapunzel, but below Swan Lake.
So is Swan Lake our number 2 at the moment?
Yeah, so we've currently got Princess and the Pauper at number 1, which, you know, this, and to be honest, I put this as one of my first notes. Princess and the Pauper was going to be a tough act to follow regardless, and I think Fairytopia did an all right job. Because it was so different and because it tried something new, and the introduction of Mermaidia really helped it out, you know, it was by no means better than The Princess and the Pauper, but it didn't make me despair for the future of Barbie movies.
So I'm glad you've chosen that number, because I was thinking it's the third best one so far.
Yeah.
I think I am disappointed with how with the moral.
Yes.
But
yeah.
we've talked about that at length. I didn't like those little leprechaun characters. That they wound me up.
No.
Bibble I didn't like at all. However, it's an original story. It doesn't do anything too clever or smart. Nothing subversive really is going on here in the telling of the quest. We got to see another few worlds. You know, but I love world building.
Yeah, same. I really love the Middle Earth aspect of this movie.
There's a universe they're building here. It's kind of why I like the Marvel movies, and that's Marvel Comics even. It's because they clearly exist in this interlinked universe, and some people might be flying off into space, and some people might be in magic, and some people might be swinging around New York. But everything is connected. And I like the way we're making a start here. I mean, I jokingly took the mick out of the word Fairytopia, but I kind of like that. They've clearly got a plan. There was clearly always going to be a sequel. This is a Doll range which is here for the long haul. I believe there's a sequel and then 2 spin-offs. I'm not quite sure the other 2 films are direct sequels. So let's see where that goes. I think that's because of the art style that changes. Also, just reading what people thought about these films, you know, on Reddit threads and YouTube comment. You know, that's where I sort of like to go and have a little hunt for people who watched it at the time, people who how they found a clip on YouTube and they think, oh, I remember this back in 2000. I bloody loved these movies, and people did, which was interesting because I think this is probably where me and my kids stopped caring. I had no idea there was going to be thousands of the fuckers coming on after this, but yeah, we stopped. We probably maybe even skipped Fairytopia and went straight for Magic of the Pegasus because it felt like too much of a toy tie-in.
Yeah, it felt very different from what we've been used to.
But I didn't really think that in the end.
No.
yes, I know half the characters are. There's a lot of things I didn't like. Is it as well made, all round well made as Princess and the Pauper and Swan Lake? Not even close.
No.
But
Nowhere near.
did it wind me up as much as Rapunzel did? No. Did it? And we've got a villain here that actually is interesting.
I really like them.
Which,
I really like the villain.
but
I like a lot of the characters in this.
I do as well. I want to know more about Dahlia. That's an interesting.
And Azura.
Yeah, I love Azura. I'd love to know more about some of those guards. I want to go back to Mermaidia. I want to see. There's another 4 kingdoms we haven't been in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to check some of this place out, and I wasn't expecting that. I was really expecting this to be the worst one of the lot, and it wasn't.
I was worried that we were going to shoot back down to like, oh, Princess and the Pauper has reached number 1 and Fairytopia is going to come in at number 5 or whatever. I assumed it would be better than Barbie and the Rockers, but I didn't. I wondered if it would be as solid as the Nutcracker, but I would argue it's more solid than the Nutcracker. It's more enjoyable than Rapunzel. You're right though. Just like Swan Lake and Princess and the Pauper were just on a different league. So it's currently sitting at number 3. Are we happy with that?
I think number 3, where we are at the moment. This is the mid-range one. Yeah. It's going to slip down. I know it. But maybe not that far.
Let's be optimistic.
No, I don't think it's going to slip that far. I really do think we're still in that golden age of these films, and I'm expecting things to be far more variable as we go on. So yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right with number 3. That's where I wanted. So far we've been in complete sync every episode, which is really odd.
I was wondering if this was going to be the first trip up where I was going to have to fight to put this at number 3 and you were like, it deserves number 7 or whatever. But no, this has been really good. So it's interesting how it's appealing in the way that it is. As I was Googling some Barbie toy images earlier in this episode, I came across what I thought was originally a bit of cosplay, but actually is Barbie live in Fairytopia.
Like a stage show sort of thing.
Like a stage show.
All right. Are you all right?
I'm gonna have to send you what I'm currently looking at as look at that. They've cast it with real people and they've put Bibble as like a little puppet that she holds, and Hugh is like a person in like a big suit, and there's the mermaid there and he looks amazing, and it's so fun, and I can see who all the characters are meant to be, and they've got the butterfly necklaces and it just looks amazing. Barbie looks gorgeous. Like, it just, look at the costumes. Look at them. They're so good. What is this? Where can I see it? I want to watch it. I will give money.
I have vague memories of stuff like this.
And like, did they do it for all of them, or was it just Fairytopia?
No,
Hey guys, I just wanted to know everyone's thoughts about Barbie Live. This was in 2017. Oh my god.
It wasn't even that long ago.
Oh my god.
I hope it's on ice. That's what I wanted to be on ice, but they look like ice skating out. No, they're a bit too extravagant. Yeah, no, I see what you mean. You need to put this in the meeting notes. Oh my god. I've just moved your face out the way to uncover the troll character.
Yes!
I hadn't seen that. Your little image was there on Skype, and I moved it to the side. Oh my god, what's that? Yeah, wow.
Like, what is this? Is it like a Barbie Live the musical is coming to Australia? Barbie fans of all ages will love this all singing and all dancing new musical set on a Hollywood soundstage. The performance follows Barbie and her best friend Teresa on the set of their new movie. When Teresa starts to doubt herself as an actress, Barbie is quick to teach Teresa to be confident, believe in herself, and in turn, trust in the power of friendship. Not only will Teresa learn these wonderful life lessons, but so will the audience. Barbie Live the musical will include popular songs from the animated Mattel hit movies, as well as new music from distinguished producer Robbie Roth, with a talented cast of 19 singers and dancers, dazzling costumes, energetic songs, and awe-inspiring sets. Barbie Live, the musical, is a must-see. 2014 this was. Oh my god. And there's a bit from Swan Lake where there's like They're like, oh my god.
I have got. Yeah, this isn't going to play out very well in our episode, but I have found something for you. um, yeah, so this actually started the same. The Fairytopia thing is from the same time as the film. So
Oh my
this was just a
god.
live show, and apparently there are there's bits of it on YouTube. I've just
Oh
sent you a
my
link, I
god.
hope. Oh, I don't know. That probably didn't work, did it? That was just the title. Bear with me.
Yes.
I don't think
We're
that.
going to Azura's cottage. No, I found it from the first national tour with Erin Elizabeth Cause as
Yeah,
Barbie, Rebecca Larkin as Dandelion. Oh my god. Oh my god. Like, not only do I want to watch this, I want to be in this. Like, oh my god, yes. Like, way to get me back into the theatre. Like, come on. Look at the costumes. We literally said, didn't we, for The Princess and the Pauper, I said, why
why
has
isn't there a
no
stage
one
show?
done this? Well, like a fool, I've been proven people have done this. And it looks amazing.
And of course they have.
Of course they have. Why would you not? I just, like, who was in charge of it? What was the company behind it? Like, toured in North America in 2006. Genius. Because was this around the same time, do you think, that Disney were trying to capitalise on live versions of their shows?
But I seem to think there's a whole thing going down at this time. You're right. Disney had the big West End musical style thing, didn't they? Like The Lion
Yeah.
King and others. But there was this whole second rank where I remember taking my kids. I mean, this none of this will mean anything to you, but there was this group of Australians that called High Five and the Wiggles, and taking your children's shows out on the road to theatres
Uh-huh.
was a real thing then. This is a
Yeah.
step above that, but it's all in the same thing. It's a way of getting parents' money out of their wallets.
Yeah, and
But
a
but
fun
but
night out for all the family.
but but again, I used to love taking my kids to that stuff, right? I mean, they weren't shows I was
Yeah.
particularly wedded to.
It's no Les Mis, but
And I'm not a huge fan of music, as you know. We've spoken about
Yeah.
this before. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of this stuff, but to see kids, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds utterly entranced by
yeah.
these people in the flesh, or these stories in the flesh, the magic that you
Yes.
can do I was talking to you a couple of weeks ago when I watched Hamilton, and there was a special effect that happened where
Mhm.
time appeared to be going backwards, which is
Yeah.
something you couldn't do on film. In that, you could do on film,
Yeah.
but you do it a completely different way, and to do it by
Yeah.
lighting and sound, to see the magic on kids' faces. Why kids love pantomime. Yeah,
Yeah.
pantomime's
It's
the
the
worst
true
thing in the
magic of
world,
theatre.
but to see your child's face light
Yeah.
up with that magic, to honestly, I mean, my kids used to believe that the fucking mascots of the football were real.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and I never used to.
Disney have made a whole thing off of that.
Yeah,
Costumed
I took,
characters.
we took Amy to Euro Disney, as it was called then, and she cried non-end because she was terrified of these giant creatures. But I took her to the Reading football, and the fucking lion there, she thought it was real, and got his autograph.
Oh, fuck
um,
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, exactly. But so you can't always decide what's what. But yeah, I can see. Oh my God, seeing a Barbie.
Yeah, I mean, I had a similar experience, but in my defence, it was Mr. Blobby that I was meeting.
Oh God.
Who was a nightmare. If you're American and you're listening and you don't know who Mr. Blobby is, do not Google it. But this is amazing, and what a brilliant introduction to theatre for children as well. And it's just such a magical experience.
And I'll draw this. My daughter is now at university, learning. She's doing theatre. But not acting. She's making sets and doing light rigging. And she sent me photos the other day. And even in lockdown, they're doing shows, and she's doing all the technical stuff behind the scenes because of that initial magic that was presented to her from a children's show made into a stage show. And you'll also see, if you go to things like
genius.
Chessington World of Adventure or the other one, they've always got some kind of show, or Thorpe Park or Legoland. There'll be some kind of live show where poor park workers have to dress up as characters from a children's TV show rain or shine,
It's
twice
actors.
a day.
It's actors on no money. I've been one of them.
I know you have. I was trying to give you a, a lead in there, but do you know what I mean? But however rough it might feel, however hard it might be doing it twice a day, every day during the summer, the magic that brings to a kid's life is astonishing.
You know, it's like everything. It's, you look out and you're like, oh yeah, that's why I'm here. Because it is, and it sounds so lame, but it's so good. And I'm watching the teaser trailer for Barbie TM live in Fairytopia TM. And the second quote is, so what does it say? It says, building on the sparkling success of one of the most compelling Barbie movies. And you know what? I agree with that quote. I think it is compelling.
Fantastic.
I think it's great.
Fantastic.
I think it's awesome, and I literally cannot wait to spend the rest of my day watching clips from Barbie Live in Fairytopia, and I hope that there is more where this came from.
I'm pretty sure there is.
I hope that there are auditions. So
dear.
Good. But yeah, so that I think, as we've said, surprisingly enjoyable, which is mean to them. By now, we should be prepared to have a great time every Sunday, and yet we're always a little bit cautious. I think because we've seen Puppy and a Princess Power or whatever.
I think some of the titles
on Netflix, and we're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, some of the titles are scaring the shit out of me, but I don't. But we haven't failed to be entertained, so I'm still happy we're doing this.
Yeah.
And we've managed to talk another 2 fucking hours.
Classic.
Oh.